Hello everyone and welcome to EyeSee's session tackling the challenges of new product development and the opportunities behavioral research holds when it comes to planning, developing and launching innovation, especially during times of global uncertainty. I am pleased to introduce you to our experts today, Marija Djordjevic, the Product Director at EyeSee, who is bringing a plethora of productization knowledge to the table, having previously worked in the telco, FMCG and media industries. And Milica Kovac, our Product Manager, who has been utilizing her rich and diverse experience in working with global clients and tackling complex studies to develop the research solutions our clients have been adding to their toolbox. Welcome and let's jump right in.
Thanks, Dina. On the path toward a successful innovation that satisfies the requirements of consumers, marketeers are often faced with many challenges along the way. In the CPG industry, many departments closely collaborate on the developing and launching of a new product. Marketing, R&D, finance, consumer insights, supply chain, legal and sales, and given the scale of departments involved, it requires tight cross-department collaboration. The investments for new products are massive, while budgets are more constrained, and executives must weigh in on a myriad of information, both internal and external, to be able to decide whether to launch a new product. One of the most important pieces of information related to launching an NPD is the consumer response. And this is where the market researchers jump in. By estimating the in-market success of the newly developed products, they reduce the risk and in turn help companies prevent costly failures. New product development is divided into several phases, and market research should be conducted at all phases of the design process, starting from early stages of conceptualization to more refined prototype versions, and finally in the validation phase with the newly developed products. Traditionally, market research agencies have relied on large sets of data when testing NPDs. In-house usage test data for trials combined with surveys, household panel data, distribution and marketing investments, which are then fed into complex mathematical models that predict market share and provide volume forecasts. Besides being more costly and quite lengthy, these more complex models face new challenges.
Absolutely. I think this is especially true for e-commerce, given the massive influx of online shoppers we have seen over the last few years. And with the subsequent shift from in-store to online, consumer habits, needs, and behavior have become even more challenging to predict than pre-COVID purchasing behavior.
Exactly. And that is why I would encourage clients to include also the digital-first approach when launching a new product. The reality is more people are buying online, and the first moment of truth, at least for some products, may be on the e-commerce sites rather than on a physical store. The digital environment offers some clever options when it comes to product presentation. And at EyeSee, besides replicas for brick-and-mortar environments, we have developed replicas of all major e-tailers and adapted our methods for testing on both digital, e-commerce, and brick-and-mortar channel.
So by now, you may be wondering, how do we tackle new product development testing? The very first step in every study is screening. It goes without saying that recruiting the right audience is critical, especially for a new product launch strategy, which is an equation with many unknowns. So we take the necessary steps to pinpoint the right target audience for each study and do so diligently. Nowadays, most automated research platforms on the market only allow you to pick category shoppers at best. Which is why we ensured our solution is highly customizable and tailored to each study by adding more granular subcategory criteria, including frequency of its usage, understanding brand awareness and openness to purchasing the new product, and even filter the geolocation in some cases. With every added testing criteria, you're chipping away the potential risk of a new launch. On top of this, our remote research approach allows us to conduct studies in over 40 countries across the globe via respondents' mobile or desktop devices, enabling our clients to tap into any market. The second and very important step for us was to empower brands to test and launch their innovation both in brick and mortar and across digital platforms with the same precision. As e-commerce continues to take the world by storm, More and more brands have been on a mission to establish their online presence. But what works in digital might not have the same impact in brick and mortar, and vice versa. And this is where in-context research comes into play. Given that our tests are conducted remotely and on respondents' devices to enable the finding scalability, it was essential to develop highly realistic yet virtual shopping environments. So when it comes to new product launches in-store, and as Marija mentioned before, our team is able to recreate any store or retail environment with high accuracy, allowing shoppers to buy products as they normally would. With eye tracking, we can also measure respondents' eye gazes to understand what they are or are not looking at, and if they are noticing the new product on the shelf. The same goes for e-commerce. We can develop websites or web page mockups, think Amazon, Target, Kroger, and let respondents shop and explore as they do in real life while we collect data about their shopping behavior. Having the ability and agility to put them in such a context that feels familiar and authentic and do so remotely for any market is undoubtedly the key player in estimating the success of any new product launch strategy. Thirdly, we have a sequential monadic approach to testing new products. What does this mean? In order to really capture the switching behavior and potential cannibalization effects, our solution rests on the premise of having the same people make two shopping purchases, one in a competitive environment before new product introduction, and then another one with a new product launched and implemented on the shelves or web pages. Of course, we also took the time to develop tactics that overcome the potential downsides of sequential design, such as putting a cognitive load on people's working memory with different memory tasks between purchases, exposing them to marketing materials, catalogs, or newsletters with the NPD incorporated, and similar. Now, to help you paint the picture of what a market share estimation study for, let's say, brick and mortar looks like, we have conducted an NPD study that aimed to verify the EyeSee NPD solution against real-life sales data. Here is a bit of the study background. Just like any NPD, the product in question here has a specific proposition. It comes from a beloved and trusted brand, leading in its category, but enters a completely new space, the breakfast category. With its type of packaging and position on the shelf, this product should represent an alternative to instant oatmeal breakfasts. This product was launched on the local market just a few months before our study, so we could longitudinally follow the development of its sales on one hand, and on the other hand, conduct the study among consumers unaware of its existence. In this way, we have confirmed that our NPD solution, based on virtual shelves, gives a reliable estimate of real NPD sales in the first year of launch. Additionally, the switching analysis on SKU level uncovered that not only oatmeals but some less expected breakfast categories also represent a relevant competition to this new product. Consumers don't switch within the same product category and same packaging type, but within the same flavor, same price range, and consumption purpose. We have also incorporated some modular standardized protocols with this NPD study as well: pack and concept testing and pricing evaluation.
So to summarize, the modularity of this behavioral solution allows brands to tackle a wide range of business questions within their new product launch strategies, such as pricing, pack, hero image, or claim testing, and do it on the right target audience.
Let's quickly look back at some of the client perspectives when it comes to practices for minimizing the risk of an unsuccessful product launch, some good examples of NPDs across categories, and the research tools that empower them to actually keep on innovating.
Angeliki, in your experience, what are the practices or approaches for minimizing the risk of an unsuccessful innovation?
So yeah, NPD development is a highly challenging task. It requires teams to take under consideration throughout the development cycle a number of parameters that are both complex and constantly changing. And in order to be successful, you need to fully meet and excel all aspects in the equation of be meeting a real unmet need, have a good product and a good activation. And why it's very challenging is because you really need to start from a consumer, and the challenge needs to distill a true and unmet consumer need that come with superior, in our case, in healthcare benefits or distinct benefits from the existing solutions. Those solutions need to have differentiated features that address real and long-term trends, not fads. Now, when it comes to the approaches or let's say thinking of how we can minimize the risk of innovation, I would say that the most important one is to always strive for cross-functional collaboration throughout the process. Avoid the silo in thinking. Bring to life the unmet needs and the whole consumer shopper journey. Think about, early on the intended experience of consumers, so as to make sure that everyone is at the same level of understanding and is fully immersed, all functions are fully immersed on the unmet need and the job to be done. Revisit the consumer shopper journey frequently and ensure that each phase of testing and development lands the desired outcome. So think about, from the zero moment of truth until the ultimate moment of truth. Also, in the late stages of innovation, we combine methods. So it's not one size fits all, and it's not just one approach. We're thinking, each element of innovation separately and all together to minimize the risk. So we are testing, the packaging in context, in virtual environments. We're testing the full mix into together with the marketing activation. Okay, so we assume we have a clear plan in mind or different scenarios of how the activation in market would look like. And we simulate different scenarios. Despite the fact that we see, let's say, a lot of changes when it comes to the retailers, the channels that they use. So e-commerce has accelerated a lot, and we need to be prepared and accelerate as well. But what I see is related to the fact that specific, let's say, NPDs have changed, have accelerated during COVID. So not only physical products that support physical health, but a lot around the mental health. So we're talking about what COVID saw us is even more the need for holistic health and the need to support consumers' mental health. Outside, of course, of the growing community and energy boost that we see innovations in many possible formats.
Well, yes, I believe there is a rather generic best practice pathway on how to innovate successfully, and we call it the innovation journey. Of course, each development faces different challenges, but the big steps are always the same. And this journey consists of design thinking and lean startup principles, and it involves, in many cases, a lot of iterations with your target audience. And these iterations, they require experimentation and a mindset to show something to consumers you're not ready to produce yet. And this mindset may seem trivial, but in many industries, the feasibility issues of your ability to produce a product are quite fixable and do not often lead to a failed market launch. The biggest questions that need answering are mostly like, one, do you cover a problem worth solving? 2, are people willing to adopt your solution? And 3, are people willing to pay on a sustainable way for that solution? So when we provide accelerator programs that we offer at the Academy for Corporate Entrepreneurship, we always include like a prototype fund for innovation teams. And this prototype fund allows them to pick the right experiment and to get a party involved to execute a rapid experiment in, let's say, 2 business days. And that really accelerates progress and it bypasses all the corporate approval flows. That would be my answer for how to go about removing uncertainty when developing innovations.
Well, I think innovations around sustainability is happening in all categories. I wouldn't deny, for instance, there are many sort of innovations happening in mining industry, for instance. But I think the excitement in the innovation comes in when we can see it manifest in our daily life. So an example of an exciting innovation in the water category is that Evian. So Evian has this new first in-home water dispenser, and it's called Evian Renew. And it's made out of a collapsible 5-liter Evian bubble-shaped container. And the thin and the light quote-unquote bubble is actually 100% recyclable and made of a 100% recycled plastic skin, which contracts when the water is removed and it takes on a new shape after every use. So it's a perfect combination of innovation design and sustainability. And going beyond products we actually sell, here is an example from Danone, South Africa on how sustainability is promoted. So yogurt tubs can be converted to useful resources such as desks or jungle gyms. This jungle gym that you're seeing is made using 1 ton of recycled plastic and donated by Danone to a school. And Danone South Africa also committed to donating 500 desks made of recycled yogurt tubs to 13 preschools last year. It's calling on all children across the country to remember that waste should not end up on the street or in nature, but rather it should be recycled. And this then is another way of getting excitement and usefulness coincide with the sustainability drives.
I think we are quite fortunate to live in a world where we see a lot of innovations happening, including in the area of sustainability. Of course, some of them are driven by AI and IoT. And I'm seeing one thing which is very interesting for me. I interact with a lot of Gen Z and millennials on a regular basis because I have teaching assignments in colleges and universities. And that's where I see that it's very heartwarming to see them coming up with these ideas for, say, sustainable packaging, IoT-based, reusable, and high-tech containers. These are recent ones, actually, which I recently spoke to students at NTU in Singapore. I also met somebody from SMU who is already running something related to sustainable packaging and also reusing packaging. So not just recycling the packaging, which is of course an effort which Singapore government runs, but also reusing packaging, which is secondhand packaging, or developing sustainable packaging and selling sustainable packaging through one platform. The other one which I mentioned is IoT-based reusable high-tech containers, which keep tracks of beauty products which you already own, because as we all know, as women, that a lot of times we tend to buy multiple beauty products, even though we have some of it lying at home, which we could have used and made better use of, and did not need a second one. So this kind of packaging basically leads to less purchase in the first place. So this is coming to more like mindful shopping mixed up with sustainability. So these are some things which I'm seeing some exciting innovations when it comes to, especially because I'm from e-commerce, I'm more interested in those kind of innovations. So these are innovations which caught my eye in this recent past. Yeah.
Innovation is linked to looking at the market monitoring of consumption behaviors, or like usage and attitude study segmentation, or even like an ad hoc trend reportings. And then we're trying to make an assumption on what we need to do next and where the trend would go. So essentially, we're looking at where we want to go next through the rearview mirror all the time. At the moment, digital comes into play and is being used as a tool for data collection that helps expedite the reporting of the trend process. However, it was still done rather manually. Then we also use the social media or the data, digital data that's floating in the internet to be part of the data set, which makes the information more current and real time. However, these are still the consumer reaction to the market at that point in time. The needs and the experiences that we got are the reactions to the current market activity and is not forward-looking. The process takes about 2 to 3 years. To create innovations that answer consumer needs in 2 to 3 years' time, we cannot use the past trend data or even the reaction to the current market activities to identify your successful innovation. We need a more forward-looking tool that enable us to predict the future needs and trends rather than creating future innovation through the rear view lenses.
If you have NPDs in your pipeline, here are the 3 key things to remember. Firstly, I would encourage clients to take a leap into in-context NPD testing, to use highly realistic virtual testing environments combining both brick-and-mortar and e-commerce environments for higher predictability of the results. Secondly, clients should perform reality checks by testing at every stage of the new product development to minimize the risk before the launch. And lastly, clients can benefit from modular solutions for testing NPDs, which can provide answers to business questions that are not limited only to the evaluation of NPD, but also include new package evaluation, pricing, and communication testing.
Interested in exploring innovation testing even further? Check out our YouTube webinar playlist with industry expert perspectives, blogs breaking down how to minimize risk when innovating, and the most burning questions answered by industry professionals in our Insights casebook.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you have any questions regarding testing NPDs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in the chat or contact us via email.